Have you ever thought and just dreamed about taking all your money and stuffing it under your mattress? Well, that may give you peace of mind in the short term. It presents other risks such as fire, flood, theft, or even forgetting what rock you buried it under. Anytime money's involved, risk is involved. And money is hard work to come by. Today we're going to talk about a few principles to make sure your money's working for you just as you worked for it. The first principle is to focus on what you can control. There's a lot out there. World news events. You can log on every night or turn on the TV and you can see events taking place all across the world and well, now even in space. And so with so much going on, it's easy to lose focus on what we can control. Things such as our spending and saving habits. These are critical areas to always focus in on to make sure we're paying attention to the areas we can control and not getting so caught up in the areas that we cannot control. Because that's a quick way to lose peace of mind. So anytime you get into an area of turmoil, just start to focus on, is this in my control or is this out of my control? One of the greatest things you can do with your money is to put time on your side. Look, inflation hits all of us. It's in everything. And if we can own high quality stocks and bonds over time, historically, they've allowed us to outpace inflation. A big risk of spending, especially right now, is the erosion of purchasing power. Inflation is in and involved in everything. And it never really goes away. It just rises at a slower rate. So in times like now when inflation is high, thinking about how can I get more time on my side is historically a great way to bring a rate of return higher than inflation. One key principle is to not try and time the market. Now occasionally it works out, but a lot of the time it doesn't. Because it requires you to make two good decisions. One, selling when all the news is good news. When the market's up, typically it's full of optimistic news about the future. It's what often encourages prices to go up, is an over sense of optimism. And it requires you to buy when the news is at its worst. If you ever need a reminder of this, go look at news headlines during March of 2009, or in 2002, or in the 80s, or back during the Great Depression. These headlines right in the thick of it are always doomsday, end of world scenarios. So it requires you to sell when the news is overly optimistic and buy when the news is extremely pessimistic. And historically and emotionally, that's really hard to do. It goes against our nature. And so oftentimes just dollar cost averaging in the market is the best way to go. Just consistently buying through the ups and downs of the market allow you to buy more when the market's down and you buy a little less when the market's high. And over time, as we extend that time horizon, it allows us to have greater peace of mind. The last principle is risk. It's in everything. Anytime money is involved, risk is involved. If we hold more cash, it can maybe give us peace of mind in the short term, but it might not keep up with inflation. Historically, it hasn't kept up with inflation. But having a combination of all different areas can help reduce some of those risks. We have risks of long retirements, running out of money before we run out of life, rising healthcare costs. There's also physical risks such as flood damage, fire damage, and theft. And anytime money is involved, we got to consider all the baskets of risk. And so being able to build a portfolio that can handle different parts of risk allows you to build a longevity portfolio that can last through retirement. So just because one risk is high today, such as inflation, doesn't mean it's the only risk that's out there. Timeless investing ideas are a great backbone to start your investment future. However, it's not specific or tailored to your unique situation. We all have different life circumstances, and building a custom financial plan for you is a great place to start. Bringing in your goals and your risk tolerance. Some of us can handle more volatility, others can't. Neither is wrong, it just leads to making different decisions. Some of us are in higher tax brackets or lower tax bracket. None's better than the other, it just leads us to making different decisions. When we look at all these risks and timeless investing principles, historically, and as we build a custom financial plan for you, will oftentimes lead to more success in the future.